When I was 15. I just realised how funny this is. Yeah, when I was 15, because I was basically in love with my best friend.
Oh, really?
It's classic. I imagine that every single person you've spoken to is saying
A few, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, when I was 15.
Yeah. So, like, did you always know, or do you feel like it sort of, like, prompted you?
I feel like before that point, I assumed that it would, like, that whatever I was going to feel was just going to start happening. Because obviously I just didn't feel anything and everybody around me did, because by the time you're 15 everybody else is like doing shit.
Yeah.
I just assumed that at some point it would kick in and I would care. But then it did kick in, but it just happened to be for women.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, before that I didn't really, it's not that I didn't know and it's not that I did know. I just hadn't really experienced any, I don't really think I'd experienced or understood that what I was experiencing was attraction.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's like when you come to identity, it's like you're theoretical, like you think you are, but then like the actual like action of like having those feelings.
Yeah,
and
I
thoughts,
think
like validates that.
That's the thing, isn't it? Some people, they're like, oh shit, like I think I'm a lesbian, and then, or whatever, I think I'm queer, and then they have an experience and confirm it.
Sure, yeah.
But like it kind of happened the other way around.
Oh really?
Because I should have explained that. Yeah, because I didn't really like get any of it. I didn't really have any idea of whether I was attracted to people. Although I think you like project yourself onto what other people are attracted to, right? Definitely. So like when I was 12, I would like talk about boys, but I look back now and all of the boys I was attracted to just look like butch lesbians.
Relatable.
Yeah, right? So yeah, I just hadn't really experienced any attraction.
Yeah.
In the way I feel like I do now.
Sure.
And was like besotted with my best friend, who turns out it was besotted with me too. Better story than other people's. And we kissed and I was like, oh shit, that's what it's supposed to feel like. Okay. And she was already out at that point.
Right, yeah.
She'd come out as bi when we were like 13 or something, and it had been a really shit experience for her.
Oh really?
But she was out, so it was kind of like I didn't have that worry.
Yeah.
But she was obviously carrying that worry because she didn't really know what was going on with me.
Yeah.
And then so then that happened, and then it was basically like the thing had happened, and then I had to work out what the thing meant afterwards, as opposed to the other way around. Yeah.
So like, how did you sort of come out to everyone in your life like after that?
So I there was quite a long time when she was the only person that knew.
Right. Yeah.
And me and her like basically began dating, and like we started having sex, we started being girlfriends. But nobody else knew. Right, okay. It turns out actually in hindsight one of my friends did know, but as far as I knew, nobody knew. Yeah. Everybody thought but nobody knew. And then over that like year, that was probably like a good year, and then there was a year after that when I like slowly came out to friends. Right, okay. Like friends who were close to me. So you kept it a secret like that? Yeah, time. It was... Was that difficult? It was intense. It was intense. But also like, so we kept it a secret for quite a while, and then I slowly told friends, and she slowly told friends obviously as well. As in told them that we were dating. Yeah. Because also we had all of the same friends, so we went to school together, we had all the same friends, so it was really just a case of being like, by the way, this is happening. So yeah, that happened over a year, but I didn't tell my parents for like 2 years. Oh really? Or like any of my family for like 2 years. And then what happened when you did? I had really good coming out at school experiences, like fine, like none of my friends were an issue, none of her friends were an issue. We went to a girls' school. There were quite a few people by that point, by the time we were like 16, 17. Yeah. There were quite a lot of people who'd come out as bi. There were quite a lot of people who maybe quietly to us had said they were bi. Sure. So it wasn't really a massive issue at school, to be honest. It was just a bit weird. Had a pretty shit parent coming out experience though. But yeah, but I think it was one of those things where I knew that was going to happen, which is why I didn't tell them for like 2.5 years or something like that. So yeah.
So what actually happened when you told them? If you don't mind talking about it.
No, it's fine, I did all of my, I feel like I did all of my coming outs in like really, maybe unnecessarily, but actually I didn't go well, so maybe it wasn't necessary, like unnecessarily formal situations. So like, really, you know how some people,
like the way you imagine it, like sitting them down, like,
yeah, like it was like that. So I feel like now a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, I slipped it into combo and my mum was fine with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that at all.
Okay.
We were like sat watching the TV one evening.
Yeah.
Like one random Tuesday evening. And also so how was I at that point? I was 18. And you don't sit with your parents when you're 18 and watch TV with them. Like, you just don't. People don't do it. But I've been like, I'm fucking doing it. Like, I'm doing it. I'm gonna come out. It's gonna happen. So I've been like, I'm just gonna, after dinner, I'm gonna go and sit with them in the living room. And it'll be so weird that I'll be forced to do it.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, why is she doing it? So yeah, I went and sat with them in the living room.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, yeah, and I was sat there and I was like, say something. And I like asked my dad to turn the TV down. Right? My mum just like wasn't even listening. And I was like, I wanted to talk to you about something. And he was like, Sheila, you need to pay attention. Because my mum was like still watching the TV at this point. So she was like, yeah, you're what? And like told them that I was dating my friend and all of that kind of stuff. I don't think at that point, which I guess is kind of relevant, I don't think at that point I was like, I'm gay.
Okay.
Even though like I was.
Yeah.
Even though I knew that as well, like I wasn't unsure about it, I don't think, but
you hadn't come to like identifying fully.
Yeah, and I think although I felt sure about it,
yeah,
I don't know, it was almost like that felt like I was giving them too much to process, which is a stupid thing to say, because obviously when you tell them that you're dating someone, you're implicitly telling them that, you're at least telling them that you're queer.
Yeah.
But I think I was trying to process the reason that I was telling them that I didn't want to hide parts of my life from them. So like, I'd had a girlfriend for 2 years.
Yeah.
Pretty big part of my life that they didn't know about. So I was like, that's why I'm telling you, because I want you to be part of my life. And I also thought that being like, I'm telling you because I want you to be a part of my life would be something that they would be down with, as opposed to like, Mum, Dad, I'm gay. Which is a bit more like confrontational, I guess.
Yeah.
And there is something confrontational about being like, I've decided this thing, I'm definitely gay, and that's that. So anyway, I didn't say that at that point. I just said like, oh, I'm dating so-and-so, and I've been for a while, and I wanted you to know. Like that kind of thing. And they were just kind of dicks about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, it has gotten a lot better, but that was also like 6 years ago. So like, I fucking hope they've got better at it. But yeah, they were just pretty shitty about it, and I think my mum also in that situation put effort into finding out if it was that I was gay. So like, I'd said to her, I'm dating this person.
Yeah.
They have got a bit better now, but my mum at the time like couldn't say any of the words involved in it. Just none of it. She wasn't gonna say. She wasn't like, you couldn't have paid that woman to say lesbian when I was 18. Not at all. And I remember my mum being like, do you think this is the way your life is going? By which she's trying to say like, is this it? Like, are you gay? Like, is that what's happening here? And I was like, sort of, I think so. Like, I think so. It's been 2 years. I'm feeling pretty sure about it. But yeah, so like them trying to kind of work that out was quite weird. Because I hadn't gone in there wanting to give them that. Yeah. Wanting to be like, I'm positive about this label. Although I think I did feel sure about it.
You still want to externalise it.
Yeah, I wasn't really ready for it to be like, even though to all of my friends, like, I'd been saying I was gay for like a year and a half at that point. But yeah, it just felt like a bit more of a big deal. But to be honest, regardless of whether I said it or not, they heard it.
Yeah. And did that feel like good, like positive? That you had told them, even though they hadn't like taken it too well?
To be honest, right, it went badly, but I kind of felt like, I don't know, like, I think it would have gone badly no matter, right? So even if I'd been like, I'm dating this person, I'm completely unsure about it, or I'm dating this person, but I'm bi, like, any of these things that I could have said, I think would have gone badly. So I was almost happy that although it had gone badly, I was like, I've done it. Yeah. And I'm hopefully never going to have to do something hard like that again, because like, it's out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of done. But But yeah, it was pretty shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sounds not great.
But I feel like you're going to talk to loads of people who've just had shit coming out experiences, so it's going to be fine.
Well, it's been like a mixed bag, really. Like, some people haven't come out, some people, sort of parents wouldn't really accept it, some parents were like accepting, like the people who wouldn't accept it, like they didn't really sort of talk about like the things with their parents.
It was weird
so
because
it's awkward for them.
when like, that is the thing, isn't it? You just feel like when you're, especially if you come out when you're a teenager or a young person, you often just don't talk to them about personal stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So you're suddenly talking about them with something that at the time is really personal, and you're like, we don't do this. It's really weird. Because it was definitely like that. Like, I had just, you know, I've always been very chatty, and I would talk to my mom a lot, but I just was missing out this massive bit of my life that we just didn't talk about. I mean, it meant really in the long term that we just didn't talk about a lot of my personal life.
And did they ever like ask any questions? Sorry. Did they ever ask any questions, like if you were dating someone or like stuff like that?
No.
No, really?
No. And that was because I was at a girls' school.
Ah, okay.
And like I had one male friend. So like I'm sure that they must have occasionally been like, you know, in that way that like aunts do.
Yeah.
Like that definitely happened to me. But that's because they didn't really know what my life looked like. Whereas my parents knew that I had like a lot of mates and like quite an active social life, but it was always with the girls that I was at school with.
Sure.
I was just gonna say, definitely in comparison to my sister, who's a few years older than me, like I was the one who they would be like, oh, she's just too busy with school.
Oh, really?
Whereas my sister like always had boyfriends when she was a teenager. Which is really funny. It was actually quite funny, that like Jessica's just too busy with school thing. I came out to my parents when I was like 18, and I came out to my sister the same week. And my nan, and this like, she's passed away now, but it was like not that long before she died. So it was probably like 4 years after I came out or something. My nan would still say that, still be like, oh, Jessica's not interested, is she? Because like I never came out to my nan. Jessica's not interested, is she? Because like she's too busy studying. She's too busy studying to have relationships. And she said it this one time, like quite soon before she died, and it was just me and my sister there with her, and we were both just like, this is wow. That's still going. That's still going great. Bless her, but like that was the way that I was like seen, so I think that's just what my parents thought. But again, like we had been very close before I came out to my parents, so I think there was a bit of my mum that was like, I had suspected that something was going on between the two.
Yeah. But was it a surprise to her? Not really.
It's very hard to tell whether it was a surprise to her, to be honest, because she, I think almost to save face, she was shocked at the time and angry and upset and stuff. And then when we spoke about it, like later that evening, for example, she was a bit like, oh, I'm not a mug, like I suspected that something was going on. Right. And I'm like, well, I don't think you did though. Yeah. I really don't think you did. Yeah. Because if you did, then maybe you would have dealt with it before now.
Maybe it's more awkward for a parent to approach
I think child. Definitely. And to be quite honest, I'm glad that she didn't.
Yeah.
Which is like, I know that maybe that's, I don't know, I'm glad that at no point she was like, what's happening here? Because I was not ready. Like I just wouldn't have been ready. I would have like, it would have been horrible. But what she could have done was spend some time working on herself, looking at her own homophobia and being like, oh shit, what if my daughter is gay? I should deal with this before she comes out to me. Yeah. But that didn't happen. That could have happened. But I think that she did suspect, but I don't think that she really knew anything. And I think she probably only suspected because my first girlfriend, in ways that I never have been, like even when we were 15, I think you probably would have been like, maybe she's gay. And I think that's probably where it came from. Yeah. Sure. That's probably where that came from. My mum said a really, really horrible thing like a few days after I came out to her. That's in the like realm of the did you know or didn't you know thing, and she was like, it's like when you've got some kind of, what did she say? Like when you've got an or when you think you've got an ailment and like something's hurting a little bit, but you're trying not to think about it too much, and then eventually you have to go to the doctor and he confirms that like what's wrong, what you thought was wrong is what's wrong.
Oh,
and I was like, that's what this is like. Great, thank you. Thanks for that. Great.
Oh my god.
Literally, right? So I think that there was a bit of her that knew something was not
right.
I behaved very differently to how my sister behaved, who wasn't that much older than me, and I think she was probably like, what's going on with this one? But, anyway.
So like, going from that, like, what does your identity mean to you, like identifying as a lesbian or as someone who likes women?
I do identify as a lesbian,
yeah.
What does my identity mean to me? To be honest, like a lot of my adult life would be completely different, and like that's an obvious thing to say, but every like sector of my adult life would be different if I wasn't gay.
Yeah.
You know, like I think being gay has informed what I do, what I care about, who I'm around, what I've spent my time doing. Like I think it's impacted on every single part of my life.
Yeah.
And I think that I do think that my identity is really important to me as a lesbian. And I know that not everybody does feel like that, because I know when I was reading the thing, there was that thing about people who are like, oh, it's just one part of me.
Sure. Yeah.
And like, yeah, it is one part of me. I'm not saying that once you know I'm a lesbian, you know everything about me. Of course you don't. But I think that if you didn't know I was a lesbian, then you don't really know me.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Because it informs so many different parts of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think that it is really valid that some people feel like that, and that they feel like they don't want it to be really important.
Sure.
But
I
also think that we probably wouldn't feel like that if there wasn't still so much homophobia.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we didn't have internalised homophobia.
Yeah.
Because I think it so often is like people not wanting other people to focus on that part of them. And like why? Maybe.
Yeah.
But obviously everybody has their own like feelings about it, and takes people different amounts of time to feel comfortable with it. Or also like not everybody wants to have like the gayest life ever and all of their mates be gay and all of their jobs be kind of gay, and like some of us just do. And that's fine.
And do you feel like having a community like sort of comforts you in a way?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like even before I came out to like anyone, obviously except for my first girlfriend, she like even beat me coming out to myself, but before I came out to anyone else, I already had like found a queer community online.
Sure.
And I already had that.
Yeah.
And like, in a way that also I just don't think that teenagers now will have, because I just always had to like wait until my parents had gone to bed so that I could use our one computer. Right? No one had a laptop. But yeah, and like I already would read loads of like lesbian blogs and like lesbian Tumblrs, and like be like, oh my god, I can be like this when I'm an adult. And I had that when I didn't think that I would have my friends, and then it turned out I did have my friends, and that was great, and it also turned out quite a few of them were queer too, so I figured. And then like when I also still didn't have really support from my family, and like when you go home from school and no one in your house is really talking about it or anything, I still had that, and then like we kind of created that as teenagers, and I had that as soon as I got to uni. And like, don't get me wrong, I think that there's a lot of problems within the LGBT community, like there is everywhere, and I also think that it's kind of simplistic to say that it's an LGBT community that comforts me. I'm not really sure it is an LGBT an entire community that comforts me, and I think it's actually the community of queer women that comforts me more than anything. Because I don't get, there are isolated queer men who I get lots of comfort from, but that's just like saying that I get comfort from friends. Sure. I think I can get a sense of community and comfort from like groups of queer women.
Because you can relate more to them, right? In a way, I guess.
Yeah. And I definitely feel like that. And I feel like even just like when Orlando happened, for example, I used to work at the LGBT Foundation, so like an LGBT charity. And when Orlando happened, I was still working there. And like I have never more felt like I was part of a community, and it's horrible, isn't it? That it takes like absolute tragedy to feel like you're part of a community. But I have always felt like I was part of a community.
Yeah.
But that made me feel like, like that proper community feeling of like hurt one of us kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what
it's really sad. It's sad, but like it does happen.
But I think it makes a lot. It did make a lot of difference to a lot of people, and I knew people who didn't really have like a queer community around them, like queer people who didn't have queer community around them, who like that was really hard for, because as much as you can have that conversation with anyone, I do think it's kind of different to have that conversation about a really tragic LGBT hate crime with LGBT people. It's different.
Of that scale as well.
Yeah. In the same way that I think it is for any minority group, like you can't... The feeling of like my community's been attacked isn't really going to be understood by someone who's outside that community in the exact ways. It was like attacked. And like the specific... I think there was something as well about that being a specific place where people find safety. And like happiness and fun, as well as safety, like, and that's what's being attacked, and that was really horrible. But I think that reminded me of just how much I feel like there is a community, and that whilst being really a horrible experience and like a horrible thing that happened, I feel like I felt positive about my community afterwards.
Sure. And like, what have your experiences been like with like lesbian erasure or heteronormativity? Like little things to say, or like in your day? Do you experience it at all?
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's like so always that you don't really think about it anymore.
Is there like anything you do or say to people to like combat it?
Yeah, and actually I was having a conversation with my girlfriend about it the other day about like when people say partner in public. Because they just can't be bothered. And like I can't tell you the amount of times, because I'm sure it's happened to you too, when you're fucking sitting in a taxi and you can't tell the taxi driver where you're going or where you've been or where you want them to drop you off, because you just can't be bothered to have a conversation. Just cannot be bothered. And like when I first went to uni, I feel like that happened so many times within the first 6 months that I was there that I just stopped saying anything.
Oh really?
You just stop being like, you know, and they're like, oh, what have you done with your day? It's like, nothing. I have no life. For the purpose of this conversation, I have no life. I can't be bothered to be like stuck in a taxi. And it's horrible, isn't it, that I've got to the point now where I so assume that taxi drivers are going to be homophobic to me that I don't even bother to tell them about my day. But like, to be honest, when it's happened so many times, you're just like, what's the point?
It's
what
like
do I get out of it?
Protecting yourself by not engaging with people
what do I get out of it?
Could be homophobic.
There was a point over this summer when my girlfriend had like, she basically needed a root canal. She had the worst toothache that like I've ever seen anybody experience, and she was like crying all over the shop and it was horrible. And she was staying at mine, and I needed to go and get her some, was it cocodamol that I was getting or something? I don't know. Anyway, shit to make the pain go away. And I went to the chemist in Sainsbury's in Fieldwork. And had to explain obviously that it wasn't for me, because they're like, oh, when do you want to take this, blah blah blah. And I was just like, oh, it's for my partner, like blah 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 blah. And just went with a solid partner, not going to use any pronouns thing. Not because I was like, I'm looking at this man and I assume he's homophobic or I think he is or anything. But I was like, I was quite stressed. She was really upset, and I was like, I just want this interaction to be as quick as it possibly can, so I can get home and give her some painkillers. Like, that's all I really want from this. So I was just like, that's what I'm going to do. And I didn't really think about it at all. And then a couple of days later, she was still in pain, but at this point had like a temporary filling. So she was like taking, taking some stuff, but not to the same extent. We were like, we're going to go and get some more. We were in Sainsbury's together. At that point, she could leave the house. She wasn't crying all the time. It was great. And we were walking over to the chemist, and I was like, oh, this is going to be really weird, because the other day when I was in here, I just allowed him to believe that you were a dude. I'm really sorry. Because when I said partner, he responded with a he, and I just allowed it to happen. Because I was like, I don't really think this is worth it. I just let it happen. And I was like, so maybe we just, I no, maybe I'll just go over here and just go and get these. Like, who's recognised me from the other day because I just can't be bothered with any of it. And yeah, and we were saying that like sometimes you just do it. You don't even think about it. You just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like, I just can't be really bothered to have this conversation. And or when you give no information, which to be fair, I gave to that man basically no information. You get given a he back, so you're like, oh well, I guess fine.
Yeah.
I guess whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that because I've always been very femme, I've also always had that in, not always, that's unfair, but like a lot of queer spaces.
I really.
I don't actually think I don't know if this is just like a city difference or an age difference or something, but I don't think it's as bad in Manchester. I don't know, maybe that's just because I'm around so many queer people that they look at you all together and they're like, I assume you're all queer because some of you look very queer. I don't know. Whereas when I was a teenager and I was in Birmingham, we would go out to gay clubs and I would get into like honest like arguments with people because they would be like, you're not a lesbian. I'd be like I am. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I literally am.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's as bad now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's coming from gay men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Fucking gay men in the smoking area who want to tell me I'm not a lesbian. It's my face.
It's not okay to say.
Right? But yeah, and it used to happen a really strange amount when I was a teenager in Birmingham, and I don't know if it was, like I say, it might have just been that particular scene or whatever.
Maybe.
I don't know, but it used to really piss me off. It used to really piss me off. Understandable. But yeah, I think maybe I'm just around like typically more queer people now when I go out, more kind of visibly queer people, which sucks that that's what it takes. But
or maybe Manchester's more inclusive, more accepting.
I think potentially. It's really hard to tell though, because I think
not to shit on Birmingham, obviously.
No, it's fine, you can go for it. I think potentially, but also I know other people who've had similar experiences. Like if you think about GAY's door policy.
Oh yeah.
Like
it's awful.
I don't think that there's anything about that that's them being an inclusive scene.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's that I go to less mainstream gay clubs now. Because GAY is quite similar to the club that we used to go to.
Oh really?
So like I think
corporate, like.
I think that's probably something to do with it.
Yeah.
That it's quite rare that I'm in those environments now.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm also just more confident than I was when I was 18. And in some weird way, I think you also learn how to like flag queerness. Even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like another question was like if identifying in a certain way like gives you a sense of autonomy, liberation.
Yeah, I think that's like I was saying about identifying as a lesbian. I think that definitely gives me. I don't know if autonomy is the right word, but I think that I like that lesbian has a sense of history. I think I like that lesbian is is sometimes not a word that's very comfortable. Right, and that other people sometimes aren't very comfortable with, because I think that's a really shitty thing, and that comes from misogyny. But I think it's kind of sad that I think it's sad. I used to work with a lesbian and bi women's group at the foundation, and I had a conversation with some of them at one point about how they were all quite a lot older than me. They were all in their like 40s. Conversation with some of them about how they don't like using the word lesbian, and we used to have it was really silly. You could tick gay woman or lesbian on the monitoring sheet, and most of them would tick gay woman because they all say like lesbian has all of the connotations of porn. It has all of the connotations of like scandal, and like if you're having a headline in like the Sun, you're going to go with lesbian instead of gay woman, aren't you? Because like lesbian is like salacious. It's like, oh my god, it's terrible. And that's so fucking sad, because also it can just be about like, you know,
two women in love.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really sad. And I think that the only way that changes is if we use it in like nice, cozy, cuddly ways.
Yeah.
And similarly, I also think it's really sad that for a lot of people, the word lesbian is getting like taken and only used by TERFs and only used by rad femmes and people who are shit on the rest of the LGBT community. And I think that we have to like not let them take it.
Yeah.
And like
reclaim it in a way.
Yeah. And like, well, the thing is, we shouldn't be reclaiming it like from people who also can use it, but like it's difficult because like a lot of those women are lesbians, and it's not that I'm saying I don't want them to call themselves lesbians either. It's just that we're getting to the stage where the only people who are using that word, or like a lot of the people who are using that word, are like TERFy. Yeah. And people who aren't using that word aren't, and I think that's really sad, and I don't want that to happen to lesbian because I can kind of see it happening. So like although I think also gay is quicker, it's funner sometimes, less awkward to say in family settings, I am trying to say lesbian because I feel like, and I kind of said that to myself a while back and now it comes naturally, but because I think it's important for us not to let it be a word that's just about porn. I don't think that's fair. Like you say, it can just be about like people being in love and it being really nice.
Literally.
Yeah. Which is literally what it means. But the thing is, like someone said the other day, like when you write lesbian into Google, the next word that pops up as like a suggestion is porn because that's what people always Google together. That's really unfair. How are people supposed to find like support groups and stuff? Like it's shit. So yeah.
When did you first realise that you were a lesbian?
I think I was like 14, but I specifically remember that my friend, she was really drunk, and it was the day before my birthday, and I think it was the day before my 15th birthday, and she was drunk, and I was trying to tell her something, but it was just something normal, but she was really drunk and just kept talking over me, and I was like, I'm trying to tell you something, and she was like, I know you're gay, and I was like, that wasn't it, but okay. But I think I already knew. I see that as the moment that I was like, oh, she's definitely right. But like a week before, we went to Pride and somebody there asked if we were all gay, and my friend was like, no, we're all straight, and I was like, So like I think that day at Pride was like the first time I was like, oh no, probably not. But then when she said it, she's right.
Yeah, that's sort of like confirmed.
Literally just trying to be like, we need to get back or something. It wasn't even anything big.
So like, when did you come out to like friends around you and your parents?
Well, about 6 months after that,
right.
I got drunk, and my mum caught me like making out with my best friend, who's like a man. Right. I was supposed to stay at his a few weeks later because his parents were leaving. Like we're going on holiday or something. We were all gonna stay, and then my mum was like, "I can't let you stay at Luke's now. What if you get pregnant?" And I was like, "I don't even like boys." So she was like. And then she told me it was a phase.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then my dad asked me a few years later, and I just said, yeah. I know I would. My dad asked for a few years, and then when I was with my first girlfriend, I was 16, and they both asked me around that time, and I said, yeah.
Yeah.
But I never officially came out, I just, like, said yes when they asked, because, like, that's, I felt too awkward.
So you did feel like there was sort of like that awkwardness, like approaching them about it, like officially like sitting them down and being like, hi, like I'm gay.
Yeah, I don't even tell them when I'm dating someone, like I have to ask, and I'm like, yes. Like I don't mind them knowing, I just don't want to have the conversation.
Yeah. So like, do you ever experience like lesbian erasure or heteronormativity, like little things people say that like annoy you?
Yeah, it really is. I think I'm like assumed straight, and it really bothers me.
You're what? Sorry, it just froze again.
Oh, okay. I think I'm like assumed straight, and I don't like that. Yeah. I don't like the assumption. Yeah, I hate it when people assume I'm talking about a man when I refer to my partner.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like. Sorry?
No, sorry, you say.
I just don't like how it's just always assumed, like nobody, like straight people never even consider that not everybody's straight.
How do you deal with it? Do you sort of like say to people?
It depends. Like when I used to work at Wetherspoons, and for like the first 6 months, I was like the only lesbian there, and I like never told anybody.
Oh really?
I would just avoid the question.
Yeah.
But then they hired new people, and like 3 of them were lesbians, and there was suddenly like half the pub was lesbian. And after that, I referred to my ex, and someone was like, "Oh, your ex-boyfriend," and I was like, "No, girlfriend." But that was like 7 months in. Like, if I think everybody's straight, I usually don't.
So do you feel like? Sorry.
It depends if they're my age.
Oh really?
but I feel intimidated around people my age.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you, like, know a reason for that? Or, like...
I think I just don't really care about the opinions of, like, 30-year-olds.
But you care more about...
friends, like...
Yeah.
But, like, I don't feel uncomfortable, I don't know. I just feel like people my age are more likely to, like, judge it, which is maybe silly.
No, I do get that. And, like, did you feel like in that period where you hadn't said anything that you were sort of having, like, multiple selves where, like, you know, yourself and you're like, out to other people, but to other certain people, it's, like, you're not really your true self around them? Sorry, I didn't really explain that properly.
I'm not out to all my family yet, and it's so strange, like, going to visit them and just, like, not telling them everything, and, like... It's odd. I'm only out with my parents.
In your identity, like, does that have, like, a lot of meaning for you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think the label's really important to me.
Yeah. So does
I've been playing with a candle under my hands on that. Yeah, it's really important to me. And, like, community as well. Would prefer to surround myself with other queer people.
Sure, yeah. And do you feel like that sense of community sort of, like, brings you, like, comfort, considering, like, there's some people that you aren't so comfortable being out with?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Have you, like, dealt with any issues, like, accepting your identity?
No, I never had an issue with it. Also, I didn't think I was straight before I thought I was gay. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And then, like, when I realised I was gay, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I came out to all of my friends, like, pretty much straight away. I didn't care. I think my parents I felt awkward telling my parents, but, like, that was on me. Like, they were always made it really clear that they were very accepting. So I think I just didn't think it was strange, because when I was really young, my dad used to, whenever he used to refer to, like, me in the future, he would refer to, like, you'd use, like, gender neutral pronouns for partner, or he'd be like,
really nice.
Girlfriend. So I just never really thought it was odd, and I never thought I was supposed to be straight.